For today's project, we're going to be using Magatama beads. Magatama beads differ from regular seed beads because they have a direction. The holes are not cut evenly, so depending upon which way you put them on, you get a different result. I have examples of the same pattern done with the Magatama beads in 3 different directions. In the first one, the beads all face up. In the second example, the beads all face down. And in the third example, the beads face up for most of the earring, but then the ones on the bottom face down for a little bit of interest. So you can either do them all in one direction or you can mix and match. I found when I was working on this particular pattern that it looked a little nicer if you had a couple of beads hanging down, and I made some gold earrings as well, and I used the same pattern where they would last row would come down. Now I'm going to point out the difference between the beads. Actually it's the same bead if you turn it over. So if I were to turn this bead over, this is the 2 different sides. And if I were to turn this over, they would look identical. You would be able to see this part of the bead down below, under the hole, and then you just see the top. You wouldn't be able to see the back of it. The hole is also set a little bit in towards the bead. Now when I turn this over, you'll notice that the hole is at the very edge of the bead. You can't see any part of the back of the bead here, but you do get to see the front. So these are the 2 different sides, and depending upon which way you put the beads on, you'll get a different result from the way they set on the piece. Now I'm going to come back after I've laid them out, but the best thing you can do if you're going to work with Magatama beads is to actually take a bunch of them and lay them out so that you've got a group going in one direction and you've got a group going in the other direction. And when I return, I'll have everything laid out and we'll start to make the second earring. I've laid out my supplies and my beads. I wanted to point out that for this project, I'm using 30 inches of wildfire. I generally prefer Fireline number 8, but I wanted to have something that I could use in a color because I find that the thread doesn't show up as much if you use green or beige, whereas you'd either have to use white or black, and the black thread does not seem to, in Fireline, does not seem thick enough. So I'm using wildfire for this one. I'm going to just move that over. And I've got my Magatama beads lined up. I have a 6mm bead crystal. I have 80 round galvanized silver, and I have some super duos. Now what I did was line these up because the very first video that I tried to do, the very first Magatama pattern I tried to do, the woman in the video was pulling the beads out of a pile like this and somehow knew which direction she wanted to pull the beads out. I found it incredibly difficult to follow, and it took me a very long time to get my first piece done. So instead of doing that, the preparation, if you do the preparation like this, the actual piece will go a lot faster. It'll be a lot more enjoyable because you won't be taking beads off and putting them back on. And I happen to like the way these look when you finally get them finished. They're kind of like feathers. So I wanted to line them up, and I lined them up so that the holes here are more towards the center on the top, and then you can see the back piece. You can see the back. If you're sitting, you can actually see the back of these beads. Then the next group has the holes more towards the edge, but if you're sitting, you can't see the back. You can only see the front of these, and you can't see the front. You can't see the piece coming down in the front here. So that's the difference when you line them up. and we're going to call this group A, and this will be group B. So I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit so that you can see more of putting on the beads and what I'm doing. You may miss a little bit of picking up the super duos, but I wanted you to see the Magatamas. I've cut 30 inches of wildfire. I'm going to pick up my 6mm crystal, string it on, and I want to pick up an 8-0 bead and a Magatama, a super duo, an 8-0, a super duo, and a B Magatama, and an 8-0. So this is what your first row should look like. When we bring these through and we look at it, these pieces should be pointing up. And they are pointing up. You'll see it better as it builds, but they are pointing up, sort of. So we have to go back around, and then we're going to tie off a little knot. So I'm going to go back around through these one more time. And when we get to the end, we're just going to make a knot. I'm going to tie it twice. And I'll cut that off. Now we're going to go back through the 6mm bead. If you don't go back through the bead, you're going to be working in the wrong direction. So you want to go back through that bead, and you want to go through the 8mm, or the 8-0 bead, rather, 8-0, and the Magatama, and you're going to pick up an A Magatama, and you're going to put it in the bottom hole of the B bead. And next you're going to pick up a dark blue and a super duo, an 8-0, and another dark blue super duo, and go through the bottom hole of the light blue bead, light blue super duo. Next we pick up a B Magatama, and we go back up through the Magatama, the first one, and the 8-0 bead. And if you can't do them at the same time, do one and then the other. And up through the 8-0. Now we're going to go back through the 6mm bead, the 8-0, and the 2 Magatamas. We're going to pick up an A Magatama, go through the bottom dark blue super duo, pick up a light blue super duo, an 8-0, and another light blue, go through the other side, the dark blue, bottom hole of the dark blue super duo, and then we pick up a B Magatama. We go up through the Magatamas and the 8-0, now we're going to go through the 6mm again, and we're going around another time. We're going to go down through the 8-0 and the Magatamas. We pick up an A Magatama, go through the light blue. We pick up a dark blue super duo, an 8-0, and another dark blue super duo, go through the lower hole of the light blue on the other side, pick up a B Magatama, go up, up and through the 8-0. And we're going to go around again. So we go around the 6 millimeter, down the 8-0. And again, if these don't, there, I'm going to have to do a couple at a time. So if they don't go in right away, you'll have to do a couple at a time. We pick up an A Magatama, and we go in the dark blue, the lower dark blue hole. We pick up our light blue super duo, an 8-0 and a super duo, go through the bottom light blue, bottom dark blue hole, pick up a B Magatama, go all the way up, all right. Now this time we're going to put the top on so that we'll be able to put an earring hook. So we want 9 8-0s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We go directly across to the other 8-0. We're not going through the 6 millimeter this time. And we're going to go down all of the Magatamas. And we're going to pick up an A Magatama, and we're going to go into the lower last hole of the blue bead. Now, we're not adding any more here, so we're going to go through the 8-0 and back through the lower hole of the other super duo, pick up a B Magatama, and we're going to go back up, and we're going to reinforce this top piece. We'll go through the 8-0 bead, and we want to start to reinforce this top. Now you can pull this tight, but as you pull it tight, you'll see that the Magatamas tend, and the piece tends to curl. So you don't want to pull it so tight that it curls, but you do want to pull it tight enough so that the beads stay together. They're not flopping or flopping around. All right, we're going to go down once more. All of these Magatamas go through the 8. And again, we'll have to do this in 2 pieces. Need to get in the inside there. Now I can go down the line. Now, if I were to put an A bead on like we've been doing, A and B and A and B, it would be going upward. We want to make these little pieces coming down, so we're going to reverse that, and we're going to put on our B bead first, and we're going to go through the silver center and through the other super duo, bottom super duo, and now we're going to put our A bead on. And you can see how that forms the 2 little pieces that come down. Now I'm going to tie off. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm kind of running out. I had a little shorter piece of thread than 30 inches. That's why I'm running out. You should have plenty. So I'm going to tie off you run out of thread, you can go in through the top instead of the bottom of the needle. And I'm going to go through this other, yeah, I don't want to go exactly where the bead is, so I'm going to do this one more time. And I'm going to losing the thread. So I want to want this to come up and over. The thread got stuck. Easy to just start again. Now I'll go through my 8-0. And my 6 millimeter bead. And now I can cut my thread. And there you are. I do hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe. And let me know if in the comments section if it helped you to use the Magatama beads, because they are a lot of fun. And I do think that they come out, the result comes out looking really cool. Thank you. The final step for those of you who wanted to know how we were going to put the earring hooks on, I have a little jump ring and I have a couple of earring hooks. So I'm going to open this jump ring, and the reason we did the 9 beads is so that we can string this, or we can slide this through the one in the center. And then add our hook. And close. And that completes our earring. Thank you again.